Let's talk more about some of the key policy and economic issues on the campaign trail. Sarah Bianchi joining us, Chief Strategist of International Political Affairs and Public Policy at Evercore ISI. Good morning to you. Let's break it down. First of all, is there any daylight between, you think, the policies of President Biden and the policies that Vice President Harris would employ if she was president?
I don't think there are very many significant policy differences. They've governed together for a number of years now. I think Vice President Harris would be wise to come out with a couple of differentiating issues, perhaps on issues that are on the minds of voters, such as immigration, potentially other things relating to inflation. But I think in general, that will be on the margin, and she will be running on the same platform that we saw President Biden running on, and I think governing quite similarly as well.
You know, we keep talking about big tech. We're talking about Elon Musk and all of this. So much of Silicon Valley, or I shouldn't say so much, a vocal piece of Silicon Valley has come out in support of former President Trump. Harris, of course, from California. She does have her backers there, including, interestingly, people like Sheryl Sandberg, at the same time that she was castigating companies like Facebook. And so I'm curious how you think that plays out.
Well, it's really interesting because both President Trump and President Biden over time have taken issue with various tech companies, including Meta, including TikTok. Neither one of them have been sort of across the board fans. And yet, as you point out, they do have some prominent backers on both sides. Interestingly, for Musk, as you all have mentioned, wants to get rid of some of the parts of the Inflation Reduction Act that are quite good for Tesla. So a lot of complexity here, I think. And by and large, I think both candidates will ultimately be more responsive to the voters and some of the populist trends that they're seeing on the campaign trail than they ultimately will for these backers.
Do you think that to the extent that she would have some new policies or introduce things in a different way than President Biden, that they would be considered more progressive, more centrist at this point? And how key is that in terms of capturing the nomination?
Well, it seems like she's quite on track for the nomination at this point. She got so much support yesterday. Some of the other tier one candidates that potentially could have jumped in have instead endorsed her. So I'm not sure she needs to worry about that as well. She has a lot of built-in advantages with the delegates who will be making this choice. Many of them have seen her throughout the country. So I think she'd be wise, in fact, to turn a bit to the center on a couple of issues like immigration, where they are going to be coming after her quite hard. That is my expectation, but we'll have to see what she does.
That's where I was going with this. If you move to the center, does that ultimately help her in terms of broadening the base, or does she need to move even more to the left in terms of trying to get at least a certain group excited about her?
Well, we saw that in the last couple of weeks with President Biden talking about the Supreme Court, talking about so many other issues. But quite frankly, I think for Vice President Harris, the base is going to be energized by this choice. She's new for them. She's a woman of color, young, energetic. So I think just this shakeup alone, my guess is, will energize some of the base. And of course, Trump himself energizes the Democratic base. So my guess is she would be, and I certainly think she would be wise, to make her moves to the center. I think this fact alone will energize Democratic voters, and her job is to get those few in the middle.